Hi, in this video we're going to be talking about Feren Linux. So this is another Linux version that is based on Ubuntu. So it uses the KDE Plasma desktop, which a lot of these Ubuntu releases tend to use. Okay, so we've been doing several videos on these different versions of Linux for those of you who think you might want to get away from Windows, but still have a lot of features and kind of have a Windows look and feel to it with a taskbar and a start menu, type menu, and that type of thing. All right, so once again, we're just going to show you how to install it and then just go through some of the features. And then if you want to go ahead and research it on your own to see what the difference is between this and other versions of Linux. So one cool thing this does have is a transfer tool where you could transfer your files and other things from your Windows computer and then import them here. So we're probably going to do a separate video on that if you want to check that out later. All right, so how this works is you just download the ISO file and then just burn it to a flash drive or DVD if you still have one. There are many third-party tools you could use to do that, so we'll stick a link in the description for a bunch of those you could check out. And then you just boot up your computer and it'll be running in a live version in memory like we're doing right now. So this is actually not installed on the computer, it's just running in memory. So you can still, play around with it and check out some of the apps and so on. So just keep in mind that anything you do will not be saved when you shut it down because it's only running in memory. So it's not going to save anything to the hard drive. All right, so let's go ahead and install it, and then we'll go through the features. So once you boot it up into the live mode here, you have this icon here to install it. So we'll double click that to start the process. All right, so normally it gets the location right, but apparently not this time. All right, so we'll pick our language here. All right, got the time zone correct. Keyboard layout, you could change that if you don't want to use the default. Okay, so here's where you need to decide how you're going to install it. So like with all of these, it's probably best to have its own dedicated disk if you're doing a dual boot with Windows. So we also have a video on how to dual boot Windows and Linux, so I'll include a link to that as well. So that way if you have room on your C drive, you could actually shrink it down and make a new partition and install Linux on there. Otherwise, if you have a separate disk, that's the way to go. And you could select it from the top here. And then we have the option to erase the disk, let it make its own partitions, or you could pick this method here and do your own partitioning. If you want to save a little extra space for something else or resize some other partitions, you could do that, but we're just going to let it do its own thing and wipe out the whole disk here. So click on next. So here's our summary of what it's going to do. Click on install. So now once again, it's going to tell us that it's going to wipe the disk, so make sure you don't have anything on there you want to keep. So click on install now. All right, so it's going to go through the process here of installing everything. So we will pause the video and be back when it's done. Okay, so the installation is complete. Only took about 5 minutes, so it's really quick. So now we just need to restart the computer to actually load the operating system from the disk instead of from our ISO file. So go ahead and check the box for restart now and click on done. All right, then it gives you a message to remove the installation media and press enter so that way you don't accidentally boot into the setup again. So we'll do that. Okay, so we're loading up for the first time here. All right, so once again, it has our location wrong for some reason, so we'll pick the right one. All right, so now we have to choose a username. We'll do our typical Bob that we've been using for the other ones. And then it'll actually copy it over to the login name, which you could change if you don't want it to be the same. And then you can name the computer whatever you want. Like so, put in a password. And then you could have it log in automatically if you don't want to put in the password, which is not secure, of course, but it's up to you. So we'll go ahead and click on Setup. So this is a little different than some of the other ones, because now it's running an initial configuration here, kind of like Windows does the first time you load it up after the initial installation. All right, so this is going to take a couple of minutes as well, so we'll pause and be back for the next step. Okay, so it automatically rebooted after the setup process was complete. Now it's signing in our user automatically here. Okay, so now you can see we have the same looking desktop here, except now we're running it off the hard drive instead of memory. You can see down here we have some updates, it looks like. So this gives you the same kind of notification that Windows does. And then you can install the updates if you want. We'll worry about that later. Then we also have our volume, network, and we have a little hidden icon here, kind of like an overflow, where we have some options for the clipboard, what's on the clipboard, power management options, Bluetooth, you want to check out your disks, display configuration. So KDE Connect is like the Windows Phone link to attach your phone, and your lock key status. So these will all be in some of the other icons that we'll check out as well, but this is like a shortcut to get to it. Then here you have your configuration here, and you can also pin it, by the way. So if you want to configure your system tray, you can do that, kind of show what's displayed and what's not, kind of like Windows does. And you have your keyboard shortcuts, and then about. All right, so if we right click the taskbar, which they call panels, you could change the size here, add some widgets. So let's see if there's anything interesting here. So we wanted to have our contact list there, we could do that. And now we have a contact list right down here in the taskbar / panel. And we have our edit mode here. So if you want to drag your panel to the top, you could do that. Change its height, add a spacer, add some widgets, configure the desktop from here, manage panels, and so on. Remove the panel. Remove some spacers here if you want. Move it around. Have it on the left if you want. And if you click up here, you could drag it off to the side, drag it to the top, and so on. Then we have more options over here. The alignment, visibility, opacity, have it be floating, and so on. So this could be a little tricky when you're playing around with it. So see how I made an accidental little panel here, which I didn't mean to do, so I could remove that if I want. And they're done, just close it out. All right, and then down here we have our start menu, even though it's not called a start menu. We have our virtual desktops if you want to add some of those. Then up top here, we have our notifications, or if you want to turn on Do Not Disturb. All right, so let's check out some of the apps here. And if you've watched any of the other videos, you notice that they are very similar when it comes to what's pre-installed on these versions of Ubuntu. And you can see up here too, it actually gives us a lock, log out, and some power options. All right, so we have favorites, which were already added there for me. All applications, if you want to see everything in one place. Then it's broken down into graphics, internet. So it comes with Vivaldi for the web browser, and it actually comes with a web browser manager if you have more than one, which is kind of unique to this version, I believe. Multimedia, Office, so this comes with LibreOffice just like the other ones did, and you could open your Word and Excel files in here. Science and math, various settings. So we'll look at a couple of these in a minute. System options here, like a driver manager, for example. And then we have utilities. So this is for zip files, your calculator, playing with emojis. Then we have the files, which is like File Explorer. It even has kind of the quick launch section here with your documents and desktop. Then if you want to see the actual file system, you click on there. And obviously it's not going to be the same structure as Windows, with program files and all that good stuff. You have your trash and your network. So if you want to connect to a Windows network. And then here we have our search and our views. Right here, if you want to do list and compact view, various menus here for new tabs. You could do tabs just like with File Explorer. New folders, check the properties. Edit options for cut, copy, paste. Some more view options. Go options, you want to go to a certain location. You could actually have some bookmarks for folders as well. And then some help. So if you right click a folder, you have options here. Open a new tab, open a terminal, open as root. delete depending on what type of folder it is, compress it, zip it up, pin it, and so on. So it's pretty nice. All right, so let's check out a couple of these other system tools here. So we saw the Update Manager. You could add some additional software sources if you want to do that for installing apps. Let's look at the main settings here real quick. So this is broken down into various categories. And a lot of these categories will have subcategories when you click in them. So a lot of configuration you could do here. Your shortcuts, startup and shutdown, search options, notification options, user accounts, add a new user, standard or administrator, regional settings, accessibility options, application settings. So if you want to change your file associations or default apps, you could do that. And also your default locations, network settings for network connections. So if you want to do a static IP address, you could come here and do that, or set up IPv6 as well. And some miscellaneous network settings, for proxies and window shares. Firewall, to put in our password to access this. So it's actually enabled. A lot of these other Linux installations, for some reason, they have the firewall disabled by default. So this one's different and actually leaves it enabled, which is interesting. All right, then we have a hardware section, our input devices, display settings, if you want to change the resolution, gamma and color settings there, audio settings, multimedia settings, power management. This will come in handy to change your power settings like you can in Windows. Bluetooth, KDE Connect for your phone. You could add printers, of course, any removable storage, what you want to happen by default when you attach it, Thunderbolt options, and about. And of course you could search up here as well. Okay, let's see what we have under System here. Right, then we have Driver Manager for updates. If you want to open a terminal, you can do that. We have our software sources. So if you want to uncheck any of these, we'll check some of them. Then the store, which we'll go over in a minute. System Monitor. Take a tour of the operating system, check for updates. Then we have our default text editor here. Okay, so that's the apps. So let's go to the store here. So this is kind of like the Microsoft Store for Windows users. All right, so you can see you could search the store. It has some featured apps here as well. Then we have a bunch of categories, some top-rated apps. So let's say we wanted to install this Paint app. Just click on it. Click on Install. It tells you if there's any dependencies that will need to be installed with it. So click on Continue. Put in our password. All right, then we could open it from here if we want to as well. Just like that. All right, then if you notice the screen here for Wine, so Wine is used to run Windows programs in Linux. So we demonstrated that on a couple of the other Linux videos. So if you want to check those out, so you just install Wine, and then you could go, for example, we installed the Windows version of 7-zip and ran it within Linux. So it kind of makes 7-zip and these Windows programs think they're being installed and running in Windows. So that's how Wine works. So you could go ahead and install that and try it out for yourself. And of course, it's not going to run every Windows program, but it does work pretty well for a lot of them. All right, so there's your basic overview of Feren OS. So I'll put a link in the description where you can download it. And then, like I said, you could try all of these in a live environment where you're just running them in memory just to try them out. And then you can see which one you like the best, and then you could install it and then start using it that way. All right, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe.